Hey, Wemberg World Entertainment, the voice is doing a bit better but still on the rough side, but as we know, The Mummy, there's not one but two of these movies in the works because we have the Lee Cronin The Mummy, which is meant to be this reboot, reimagining, whatever it's meant to be, and of course we have The Real Mummy, The Mummy 4 with Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz coming back, but the Lee Cronin one was announced first. And of course this one is coming from Blumhouse, not Universal, which I still don't understand quite how that works when it comes to rights, but we're starting to get word now on what this movie is because they've apparently held test screenings and the test screening information has leaked, and if it's true and accurate, this thing is looking to be an absolute unmitigated disaster, so much so that James Wan himself, whose company of Atomic Monster, I believe, might be producing this, apparently walked out halfway through the screening. It's apparently that bad, but we're going to have a look at it, and the plot detail and even the plot and story for this is horrendous. Now, there's still another rumour doing the rounds that the name of this movie has changed from The Mummy to The Resurrected. I did a video on that a good while ago now. That has not been confirmed as of yet, and according to these test screening stuff, it's still very much called The Mummy, so let's have a look and see exactly what we're in store for with this. So, it's saying one of the year's most anticipated horror films, Lee Cronin's The Mummy, has built a bit of infamy following its announcement a few years ago. This has largely been due to test screenings, placing the film with poor receptions and rumours of a title change and removal of the mummy elements. We are here to shine light on these rumours. Right now it's me shining the light, as a source has reached out to Feature First. So this is where this information is coming from, whoever this Feature First is. And now we can reveal a synopsis, plot details, and more about Lee Cronin's The Mummy. So you see, they're even talking about the rumour of the title change, but in this whole thing about this movie, there's no word on that title change. So what happens in Lee Cronin's The Mummy? The film follows a family consisting of two adults, Jack Reiner and Leia Costa, a son, Shiloh Molina, and a daughter with another child coming. When the daughter, Kate, played by Emily Mitchell, disappears after being cursed by a mysterious woman, the family is forced to move on. 8 years later, a plane carrying a sarcophagus crashes and the contents are revealed. A now grown Kate, now played by Natalie Grace, lies within. When Kate returns home, she isn't all what she used to be, and a dark, mysterious force is unleashed on the family. So, that's apparently what happens. That's some of the story, which, by the way, sounds horrendous. Also, sarcophagus in a plane crash again. That literally was in the Alex Kurtzman and Tom Cruise remake of The Mummy. Remember? That's how the Mummy ended up getting free, was the plane crash. So, yeah, okay. So, what is the summary for Lee Cronin's The Mummy? In addition to the above plot details, we also can report on the synopsis for the film, which reads as follows. After a record-breaking revival of the dead in Evil Dead Rise, screenwriter and director Lee Cronin turns his attention to one of the most famous horror stories of all time, transforming it into a bold and twisted reinterpretation. Lee Cronin's The Mummy. The young daughter of a journalist disappears without a trace in the desert. The shattered family is stunned when the girl suddenly reappears 8 years later. But what should have been a joyful reunion quickly turns into a true nightmare. The leading roles in Lee Cronin's The Mummy are played by Jack Reiner and blah blah blah. We know all that crap. We just talked about the names. So we can also report that the film, so that's the synopsis, by the way. So we can also report that the film did indeed hold test screenings, testing at an approximate runtime of 2 hours. So there's an update since the publishing of this article. A representative on behalf of Warner Brothers Pictures has reached out to deny claims surrounding negative test screenings and James Wan's alleged walkout, stating the information was completely untrue. So, of course, they would reach out if they're trying to save face and need and want this thing to be a hit. You know, they're not going to come out and say, yeah, it's true, it was a disaster at the test screenings. Also, this comes from Blumhouse, so why is Warner Brothers in it? I don't know. So this continued anyway. This was the continuation of the story. So it's saying further, the film is said to have a scene that is described as truly vile and as worse than the substance and something called Bring Her Back. I'm not sure what that is. In terms of mature content, the scene follows a scorpion that crawls into... By the way, this is what this vile scene is. And it just sounds like it would be CGI gobbledygook, and I'm pretty sure we've seen worse in movies, but this is what the scene is described as. The scene follows a scorpion that crawls into somebody's mouth and severs their vocal cords, leading someone to stick their fingers down that person's throat and press on the vocal cords to allow them to speak. Here's my question as soon as I saw that. How can you speak when someone's hand is in your mouth? Seriously, to press on the vocal cords, you're not just sticking your fingers through it. Half your hand will be in that person's mouth. How could they speak? And why don't you do something like something simple? They're writing this stuff thinking like, this will look fantastic on the screen, it's going to be so gross and blah blah blah. But then retards like myself with a microphone will sit here and look at a scene like that and go, why didn't you just give the person a pencil to write something down? Same as asking the question of, how can they speak with someone's hand in their bloody mouth? You know, it's like that old joke. Did you ever hear the joke where it says NASA spent like 400 million on inventing a pen that for space that can write upside down in zero gravity, all this stuff? They can do whatever they want with it. Russia just used a pencil. It's the same as that. It's like, yeah, you think it sounds great, but we're going to dissect it and say, why didn't they just do this with it? So, everything else in this article anyway is just about the cast and who they play, which may as well go through. It says Jack Reiner plays Charlie, a journalist. Natalie Grace and as Kate, the eldest daughter of Charlie. And this one is played by Emily Mitchell. Then it says, plays a 7-year-old version of Kate. What? Yeah, whatever. May Claymaya or something as a detective. Leia Costa as Charlie's wife and Kate's mother. Silo Molina as Charlie's son. Billy Roy as Charlie's daughter. So I'm going to assume that is the daughter that they said is meant to be coming. Not the younger Kate, but if you remember, it said there's the daughter Kate and another child on the way, so that must be that one. Hayat, I think, Camilla, as the gypsy woman who curses the seemingly kidnapped Kate, and Veronica Falcone, however you pronounce her name. It doesn't say who they're playing though. So it sounds like this thing is a disaster, and everyone does seem to be picking up on this. But it's interesting that Warner Brothers has come out to say like, yeah, we're kind of going to debunk this and say it's not true. You notice they didn't deny the test screening. They didn't deny the test screening, and they didn't deny the synopsis or anything like that. They've just denied that the reactions to the movie were bad and that James Wan walked out of it. So it's interesting. So it's kind of like, it says here, like, according to Feature First, the narrative buzz on social media from test screenings is correct. The movie, which has a 2-hour runtime, is reportedly so bad that Atomic Monster founder James Wan walked out halfway through. So they're saying like there's a lot of buzz online about the test screenings being terrible. So who do you believe? Do you believe different accounts on Twitter saying it's crap and James Wan walked out halfway through? Or do you believe the studio trying to save face, saying, oh no, that's untrue? It's kind of half and half. You'd really have to wait until people kind of reach out and more trusted sources kind of reach out and say like, yeah, look, It's terrible. So, like, when this movie got announced, the first thing I think a lot of us kind of said is, like, another remake? Why? You know, they tried to do the remake with Tom Cruise and Alex Kurtzman to launch the Dark Universe, and it was so piss poor and bombed that hard that Alex Kurtzman managed to kill a cinematic universe with one shot on the very first movie and killed it outright. So nobody wanted another reboot. But that this other article also says, like, because it's possibly that much of a hard R, that could be why they want to change the title to the Resurrection, to try and move it away from the name of the Mummy. So we'll have to wait and see. Again, this is all rumor at this stage, but it sounds a bit too legit, especially seeing, like, again, it's giving you information on the characters and who they're playing. It's giving you the information on the synopsis and what the story is and how it unfolds. Warner Brothers hasn't debunked any of that. Only that it was that they were getting bad test screenings. That's the only thing they've debunked. So, yeah, it's starting to kind of look like this thing will be a disaster. But we'll wait and see. Again, it's a rumor, but what do you guys think? Are you looking forward to this version of The Mummy? Do you care? Or are you just going to wait for the actual Mummy 4 with Brendan Fraser? Let me know in the comments. And with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So do like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Cheers. I'll catch you in the next one.